Welcome into Rounding the Bases.
Round the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg. It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.
Welcome into another episode of Rounding the Bases, presented by Community America Credit Union, invested in you. I'm Joel Goldberg. Shout out to my friends at Chief of Staff, Kansas City. If you're looking for a job, looking to hire someone, whether you're in Kansas City or not, check them out. They believe in people, culture, all the good things. That's why I like to partner with them. Chief of Staff, KC.com, making connections that matter. I've got a great connection today. Someone that has become a friend recently, and I'm really excited to share her story with you. I'm joined by a champion of and for women's sports, who lives life all in, all out every damn day. Her name is Coach Krishna Lee, a speaker and Hall of Fame track star who went from shot put to goalposts as the general manager of Glory, Kansas City's only full-contact women's football team. As a decorated athlete herself, she spent a lifetime mastering the art of high performance. Now she challenges athletes to build their own foundation of success, leveraging the sisterhood of football to make big plays on and off the field. I can't say that I wore a different football shirt today of a different women's team, the Kansas City Current, because of Krishna. But as I put it on this morning before I was going out for coffee and doing what I was doing, I thought, oh, actually, that's kind of cool. That should work out really well. I don't have a Glory shirt, but this is close enough. It's the Current. Krishna, how are you? She's on it.
Fantastic.
I knew I was going to get a Glory shirt out of this.
As soon as I saw the Current shirt, I was like, we need to get him a Glory shirt. So it's on the way.
I'll wear that when I do a Current interview or something like that.
There we go.
So I can share the love. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. It's a beautiful day, and yeah, just ready to have a wonderful chat with you today, Joel.
Likewise, ready to dive all into this. I don't even know where to begin from this standpoint. Like, yeah, we could sit here and talk about sports, women in sports, your background, and we will, but yet your message, your speaking, your business at times may have nothing to do with athletes, and more to do, I think, with opportunity, with doing different things, with believing in yourself, with change, transition, not just from sports, although transitioning out of sports is really hard for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
It feels like to me, Krishna, that so many of the people that I have on the show, not everybody will say something like, well, I used to be this and now I'm that. I used to be corporate and now I went off on my own. I used to be this. So I think that your message, and I think I remember saying this to you at some point, really could be for anyone and should be for anyone. And I'm wondering what you think about that.
Yeah, you did say that to me before. And I think you're right. I frame a lot of what I talk about through the lens of sports because that has been the ways in which I've learned the lessons. But that doesn't mean it's not for everyone. So when you talk about transitioning out of sports being a little difficult, it absolutely was. And that's what made me passionate about talking about transition and how to ease the burden and get through that a little better and having some different coping mechanisms. And that's not just when you're leaving sports as your identity. That's if you're leaving the military as your identity, or you're becoming an empty nester and now your identity is changing as a person and a parent, or when you're first becoming a parent. So there's lots of places in life where I think my story and what I talk about resonates with people. It just happens that I kind of tell it through a sports lens.
Yeah, which I mean, same thing for me in terms of my speaking. Like, it's all about trust and culture and teamwork. But what better way to teach all of that than through the lens of sports? And I always say, if you're telling the story right, it doesn't even have to be for someone that likes sports, because sports is so easy to teach. There's a winner, there's a loser, there's grit, there's resilience, there's work ethic, all those things that play into real life. And I look at your story, and I know we all have our own unique stories. But I mean, former All-American track star to professional football, U.S. women's captain, to now general manager of a women's football team. Like, there's no way that a young Krishna was like, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up. I can't imagine that you even thought such a thing.
You are absolutely correct. And, that's actually part of what makes its way into my talks as well. I had a dream where I can truly remember at 6 years old, watching the Olympics and going, oh, I want to be one of them. I want to wear USA across my chest. I want to represent my country. And, when I was really young, I thought it was going to be in karate and then in swimming and basketball. And when it didn't happen for track, but I had that opportunity, right? I competed at the 2008 Olympic trials and 2009 US championship. So I had an opportunity to make the US team and to represent our country the way I wanted. And that didn't happen. And I, just like you said, like I could not have imagined, even at that point when I retired from throwing, because I was a thrower, I did not run anywhere, that opportunity was going to come and tackle football. At the point where I retired from throwing, we hadn't held the first women's world championships in tackle football yet. So I truly couldn't even have dreamt of that moment because it didn't exist at that point. And so, like you said, little Krishna could not have imagined playing tackle football in Finland by any means, and certainly couldn't imagine leading a team here in Kansas City.
It's so cool. By the way, I know there's some that could do everything, but I mean, how many great throwers are runners and how many great runners are throwers? Probably not.
There's not a ton. There's a couple.
There's generally it's like a different genre, right? I mean,
absolutely.
All right, some people may be able to cross over a little bit. I mean, it's like the same thing, you every now and then in the NFL, you might stick your offensive lineman in the backfield, but it's more gimmicky than anything. There aren't a lot of people that are throwers or power that are then going to be your sprinters or whatever it might be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why we are always so enamored by heptathletes and decathletes, right? Because they do so many things and you just go, wow, that's why we call them the greatest athletes on the planet.
That's right. I mean, when I was young, a little before your time, there was the whole Dan and Dave campaign with decathletes. I don't know if you remember that or not. And it was like they were the most celebrated guys in the country. And you go back to the Bruce Jenners of the world and all that type of stuff. So anyway, I'm getting
we're going to go on a whole left turn if we get into track,
which is what so often happens with me. But I want to stay focused to this. So when I think that the women in football piece is really interesting because it really can mirror so much of life and progress, right? I mean, there are things that women are doing and have been doing for a long time now that were never possible before. I've said this before on this podcast, and I've wrote about it in my second book. I mean, my mom ended up having a successful corporate career, but it didn't come without going back to school because she never went to school for what she did. Ultimately ended up becoming what we would call now a coder, but a computer programmer at the time, and then eventually progressing to corporate. But those were never options or opportunities for her because in the 60s, she was told that women coming out of school have to be teachers or nurses. And that's not said anymore. But there aren't a whole lot of women, at least when you were growing up, or girls that were told you could be in football one day. But now suddenly we are seeing that. And it's been a few years now, but I think I might have mentioned this to you at some point, maybe not. My cousin was a guest on this show, Sam Rappaport, who was working at, very high levels of the NFL and she's done unbelievable things. I mean, I don't want to say we grew up together. She grew up in Ottawa, Ontario, and I grew up in, out east in Philadelphia area and then Chicago, but our families would connect when we did. And I remember those times vividly. And she's a freaking badass. Like I sit there and I watch everything she does on social media. I'm like, you are changing the world, and her wife is changing the world. And now she's a mom and all this. It's the coolest thing. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent, but
truly leading the way. Yes.
Truly leading the way. And you're doing so as well. But she's got that big national and international platform now, which is incredible. And I'm so proud of her, but it's starting to creep into, I believe, the heads of young girls that this is an option. This is something that I can do. And I'm wondering what that progress looks like for you because you're knee deep in the middle of watching it transform.
Gosh, it is so incredible. Like I actually posted something on Instagram. I saw it was the NFL or USA Football posted that there are now 36 states that have sanctioned girls high school flag football.
Wow.
And that went from 3 to 36 since 2023. So like seeing this incredible boom happen for these young ladies and these opportunities be presented to them. I will say I'm a little jealous, right? I didn't have my opportunity to step on the football field as a player until I was in my 20s after I was done with track. And my dad played through college. He coached everything. I was the kid on the sideline with him, right? Being like, no, I don't want to run errands. I want to like go to practice with you, Dad. And when I finally had the opportunity to ask if I could play football, I was met with a no, and shocked because, my parents had always stood behind me and told me that gender shouldn't be something that holds me back from anything. And when I asked that question, I didn't get to do it. And so, being able to not just see it as an option at the recreational level, but to see it as an option now formulating at the high school level, at the collegiate level. And, in 2028, we're going to see flag football at the Olympic level is incredible. And I know I feel pretty confident I would have been on a football field before I was ever in a shot put ring if the opportunity had presented itself to me. But I can't say enough about how exciting it is and how many more opportunities there are. And it's not just on the field, as you've alluded to with me in the front office. There are so many women that are now seeing opportunities in the NFL, in our league, the WNFC, as opportunities to be in football and be leaders in football, even if it's not on the field.
I think about this. This is such a little thing, but I think it'll resonate. My daughter, who was never going to play sports. I mean, it just, in my mind, I know this isn't true. She'd be so mad if she was listening to this. She won't listen to it, so it's fine. But, she's a theater kid. She's in college right now. She's living a great life. In my mind, I know this isn't true. She was in sports for 1 week as a kid. I think it was probably a couple months. We signed her up for soccer. There was something about her being out of the field off in the corner crying in her tutu that we realized maybe sports isn't for her.
Maybe we should figure it out.
Maybe, yeah. But now she would tell you that, she was part of like some kind of championship in like middle school or whatever for the floor hockey, blah, 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 whatever. But where I was going with this is that here is this girl that is not an athlete that's playing flag football now in college. Not competitive, just, like recreationally, and loves, Dad, I caught a touchdown, all this type of stuff. I don't even know if they're doing that right now, but I mean, she has, like, I'll get the calls on that. It's incredible. And so you talk about opportunity, whether it's at a high level or just as an activity for girls and women to understand that, yes, we can do this too. Yeah. The explosion of flag football, not just on the girls' side too, the boys' side, like that, and the normalization of it is really quite something to see, I think. What do you make of all of it?
It is. And I think even bringing up the boys' side of things and seeing it as a valid and valuable option, that's not just the tackle side, right? I know concussion came out and we saw a large dip in tackle football participation. And I think that's where we kind of started to see a little bit of growth on the flag side, particularly on the boys' side. But I think seeing it as an option at the Olympics, I think that was that FanDuel or whoever did the like NFL guys versus Team USA flag game that happened about a month ago or so, put those guys on the stage as, equally talented, maybe a little more talented on the flag side, football players as NFL guys. And so I think just more spotlight on that gives a deeper understanding for just the general public to know that it's an option and it's exciting. And I'll say from a general manager's perspective with tackle, I'm now starting to see young women that are coming from collegiate flag to the Glory. And that has been quite a change for us as well, because now I get to see at tryouts women that know we don't have to go through the language of, hey, this is a cover two, right? They know where they need to be on a cover two. We like it just, obviously there's no line in flag, so that could be more conversation, but they understand so much more than I did when I came into the game. And I had a dad that, sat me down and made me watch highlights and film and break down film of high school games coming up with him. So it's really raise the game of football across the board, tackle or flag.
So cool. It really is. And look at the way that's expanding your talent pool.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some adjustment to be made to go into tackle suddenly, but if you know the game, you know the game. The rest
Exactly.
of it, if they're tough, they're tough. If they're not,
It'll
either going
come.
to get them there or they're not going to get there.
Or they're not going to get there, and they'll bow out quickly on that first hit.
Out, right? I think everybody's going to know that one. First off, I'll let everybody know to learn more about the Kansas City Glory, kansascityglory.com. For everything you'd want to know. And on the website, I was reading, and in your bio, there's a quote from you that says, "The missions of the Glory and the WNFC are core to who I am as a person." And so, as I was reading that, I went, okay, well, let's look. Here's the mission. The Kansas City Glory is committed to empowering women and girls in the Kansas City community through the game of football. We do this by creating an environment where all who play for, cheer for, and support the Glory know they are valued, loved, and treated like family. The Glory strives to put together a professional, passionate, and poised team of women to make big plays on the field and big impacts in the community. And then I just want to share two more things because it all spoke to me. The values, the acronym of TRUST, T is talk, communicate with another, R, remember your why you're here. There's so much that people can take from this, I think. The U, be unwavering in your stance about the Glory, or you could say that about whatever your company, your mission, who you work for. S, solid, be solid. There are no holes in our foundation. And T is together. And then the motto is all in, all out, all day, every damn day, Glory. I love all of that. And I'm wondering, as I fill in those blanks for people first hearing it, what it is about all that speaks to you, because it sounds to me, and knowing you a little bit, that there's so much synergy in what they are, who they are, and what you are and who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like I said, I try to tell my story and the lessons I've learned through my sport experience. And that's on a stage or in a room doing workshops and things like that. On this side of things, it's sharing the passion, it's uplifting girls and women in our community, showing them what is possible through the sport of football, but knowing that all those lessons, again, translate into life as well. I have my Women Leaders Belong in Every Room shirt on today from Women Leaders in Sports, and I wore it purposely, right? And I do a lot of times when I'm out in the community, because I want people to ask me about it. I want them to go, wait, what's that shirt about? Where'd that come from? And I get to talk about that organization. I get to talk about our organization and how, this past season, we broke records as far as our home game attendance. We last year impacted over 5,000 kids in our community with skill instruction through football, and having that skill instruction come from not just me, but our players who are in it every day and that can be those role models and make those touch points within our community, I think goes such a long way.
I mean, how absolutely fulfilling is this? I mean, you've been a coach for most of your life, but this is kind of different level stuff, right? Coaching athletes, or being an athlete as you were, I probably still are. Maybe you would officially say not. I say once an athlete, always an athlete.
I definitely am. I just have to stretch a lot more before I start being an athlete now.
We're getting to that point.
Exactly.
But once an athlete, always an athlete, even if things come a little bit slower at this point, yes. But to impact on a bigger scale, right? I mean, when you're coaching a team, you have X amount of athletes you're coaching. Now you understand the influence, whether it's being on stage or whether it's getting out in the community, whether it's doing these clinics, whether it's doing all of these things. And how much do you feel like you found your calling?
100%. Absolutely. The thing I've always loved about coaching has been not necessarily the X's and O's of it, but all of the life lessons that you can learn through sports. Sports is just a microcosm of life, and you're able to figure things out and make the mistakes and bounce back and be resilient and learn when you have that safety net of your coaches and your team and maybe your parents still there to catch you, stand you back up, smack you on the button, let's go, right? And so I found that the first time I got on a stage, it was the part of coaching that I really love. And it's, teaching those life lessons and talking about those life lessons that I got from sports. And so I thought, oh, wow, it's just coaching in a different arena. It's being able to reach more people than I have before. And I feel the same way about managing people. That's just coaching in a different arena.
Yeah.
We're just all of it is just trying to get the best performance out of yourself and others at every turn.
And some of it's just opportunity, right? I mean, I look at any women's sporting event, and yes, there are boys there too, which is great. But the amount of girls, I mean, no different. Like when I go to a Major League Baseball game, you see a ton of kids. It's not all boys. There's probably more boys than girls. Looking for the autographs, wanting to get a selfie, all this type of stuff. Then you go to a women's event, and it's the reverse. It's not all girls, but to see the amount of girls lining up, and my kids again are older, but I've seen the younger kids, the 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds that are looking at these professional athletes like, I want to be you one day.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna guess that has not become normal to you yet. I mean, you want it to be normal, like this is the way it's supposed to be. But I think, and this is just my perspective, that you want to keep pinching yourself too, because it is a sign of progress at a time where we often feels like there is no progress, because there is a lot trying to sabotage so much of where I believe we should be going in the world and where we should have already gone. And so how do you process all of that as you witness it in real time?
I'll give you an anecdote of witnessing it in real time. This past weekend was our final home game of the season. We partnered with Operation Breakthrough to bring a number of their kids out to the game. They got to do, the little ones got to do some field work, clinic type stuff with a couple of our players, our injured and recently retired players, because the other ones were warming up on the field. So these kids got to be like field adjacent while our players and the other team were warming up. And then the older group got to kind of see the backside of what it takes to put on a game. And so they got to go into the broadcast booth and greet people as they walked into the game and all this stuff. And there was one kid that kept grabbing me every time I walked by, like during the game. And he was like, well, how do I need to get an autograph after this? And I was like, yeah, you can definitely get an autograph. They're going to be right down here. Okay. And, I'm running around trying to do everything a GM does during a game. And I come back by and he grabs me and he's like, I need a marker to get the autograph. And I was like, okay. And I end up finding a marker somewhere. And he grabs me again. I need a ball. Can I have one of the balls? Because I don't have anything for them to sign, but I need the autographs. And I was like, you can't have our game balls. No, so sorry. But I ended up actually finding one because we had that clinic. I had a couple extra laying around, so I brought a ball over. And he was so excited that he now got to go down after the game and get the autographs of all these women he just watched play football. And there were other there were girls with them too that were excited, but like he just stood out to me so much because he was so insistent that he needed to get down there. He needed to talk to them. He needed to get the autographs from them. And so seeing that from maybe 12-year-old young man's perspective, and seeing that for him, that's just a football player that I got to watch play pro football. And that's amazing. And it really doesn't matter if that's a man or a woman that's the stuff that it's all about.
Yeah. But I was thinking about, as you're telling that story, that, I was thinking about it in terms of what it must be like for a young girl to say, hey, I could be one of them that day. And I know that's true. Maybe that's the obvious piece. The other piece that I hadn't thought about is that for this young boy, to not have to differentiate, or let's just say that he is differentiating, and that when he comes into the workforce one day and he has a female boss, that's normal. Like it's not, because that's where the world is going. And so much of the past discrimination and the misogyny and everything was like, well, and I still see it, some in the workplace to this day is like for me, and maybe this is having a strong, mother who was a leader. And I think I was raised right, but I wouldn't think twice of, I think some of the best CEOs I know in town are women. And I don't sit there and think, well, they're less or more or whatever. They're just great leaders. And so the experience for those boys in the crowd to have strong women to look up to I would think will have an impact on their lives forever.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And
Yeah.
you're right that sort of underlying bias is not gone. As a woman that leads in sports and out of sports, it's still healthy and
It's
around.
still a battle.
So yeah, being able to expose them early and know, like, not just football is for everybody, as I like to say, but it is, seeing powerful, confident, athletic, strong, brilliant women from an early age. Just, it lets you walk into every step of your life going, we all belong here, and we all should be on equal playing field.
Yeah. It's so good to see that. Of course, it's not equal still, but hopefully day by day getting a little closer. And with that, unfortunately, this is true of so much in life, come setbacks where it feels like we've gone backwards. But I always say that, steps backward can lead, and usually do lead to steps forward.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different discussion. Let me get to my baseball themed questions.
All right.
For a football / track / all everything athlete, really, but it's not baseball questions. What's the biggest home run you feel like you've hit in your career?
I've been preparing for these for probably far too long, right? I have a couple. One is 2022 making the national team for tackle football. Like I said, I had that dream since I was 6 years old to wear USA across my chest. So that's a pretty easy home run on something I'd been dreaming about my whole life. Mm-hmm. The second one is a more professional one. And, when I'm speaking, and I'll answer this in your small ball question, but I talk about being connected to your values. And I left a job a number of years ago, and I knew it was time because I always promised myself, I show up with positivity. I show up with joy, right? I want to be there. I want people to be excited to be working with me. And if ever I'm showing up and I'm not those things, it's not the place for me anymore. And I recognized that in a professional setting that I was in. And I realized that my values were no longer aligned with the company's values. And it was a really difficult decision, and I didn't have anything else lined up. And I have an incredible partner at home that said, we save money for a reason. And what better reason than to be happy? Leave. Mm-hmm. And I know for a fact I would not be speaking on stages now if I hadn't. And so, though that may sound like a bit of a setback, right? Just alluding to exactly what you talked about, it was a setup for a comeback, and it was a setup for something greater.
Yeah, that's usually the best way that it happens. How about a swing and a miss along the way, Krishna? And what did you learn from it?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Kudos to you for saying that.
God, I told you we were getting the team on the road this morning. There were many swings and misses in the hour and a half before I got onto this podcast with you. But I think, outside of making that USA team, that was the fourth time I tried out for a USA team.
Wow.
I didn't make the first three. So that's again, pretty easy sports swing and a miss, right? Like, you dust yourself off, you figure out how to do it better, you keep rolling. I think professionally, and thinking about this position and some others that I've had, is almost kind of like assuming other people have the information you have. I've become a much, much, much better communicator, probably over the last decade when I've been in leadership roles in work and in football, where you get to the end of an event or something and you go, I didn't think I had to tell you that. But that's on me, right? That's on me as the person that's putting it together, that's communicating, that I need to be more specific. I need to be more detailed. I need to be able to give you all the information I have here so that you can be successful. So, like I said, many, many swings and misses, but one of the primary things I've learned from some of those early swings and misses is how to be a much better communicator when it comes to leading others.
Very interesting. Important too. How about the small ball? You referenced small ball. What is small ball to you?
Small ball to me is the foundations of success that I talk about when I get in front of crowds and student athletes. It's being connected to your values, understanding who you are at your core, and being able to show up as that person day in and day out in every scenario. It's having a growth mindset and choosing that growth mindset every day. as you might expect from me, I am a high achiever. I expect a lot of myself. I want to be great at things the moment I try them, and that's just not the case. But I challenge myself to meet those times when I'm trying something new or whatever, with curiosity, with grace, and that growth mindset to say, we approach challenges, we don't run away from them, we learn from our failures. And then the last one is just honestly goal setting for goal attaining. For me, if I have a goal, I know I need to sit down, I need to figure out how to break it down into smaller pieces. I need to understand what the barriers are. I need to have an accountability buddy that's nudging me from time to time going, how are we doing on that? And I'm going to celebrate as well. So having all that kind of up front and those things top of mind for me is the small ball that gets me to where I want to be day in and day out.
All right. I love all of that. I want to wrap it up with 4 final questions, and we'll go a little sports related here because the resume is just nonstop, unbelievable accomplishments. 3-time high school track state champion, 8-time All-State awards, 2-time All-State college and shot put, All-American, in shot put, All-American in hammer throw, Big 12 conference champion, a 2024 Mizzou Athletics Hall of Fame, which is unbelievable. So let's go question number 1. Give me the scouting report. I love to ask athletes this. Give me the scouting report on Krishna Lee, the track star.
Oh, interesting. She's focused, multi-talented. I'd say, oh man, that is Joel, I wasn't ready for that one. I thought I was ready for all these questions. That's a really good question. Yeah, you did. Leads by example. Always has snacks. I was a thrower, man. We had to have snacks. Yeah. There's a lot of sitting around at track meets. Yeah. Falls down, gets back up.
Yeah. All right. Same question. And this one maybe will be different because the leadership will all be the same. Second question, scouting report on Krishna Lee, the football superstar, 2-time Women's National Football Conference All-Pro selection, 2022 Kansas City Glory Defensive Player of the Year, National Football Team. I could go on and on with the credentials. How about the scouting report on the field of you?
I'll start again with snacks. You gotta fuel the body, but I'd say multi-talented as well. I played primarily linebacker. Probably every snap that I possibly could. And for many years, I played both sides of the ball. And so I was tight end, fullback, running back. I've lined up at every position on the field except for like holder, kicker, punter. And maybe long snapper, but I've taken a few snaps in the Wildcat. But I did have somebody tell me that it doesn't count if I was never going to throw the ball. And I was like, you can get out of my face. But I think the thing I'm most proud of is the scouting report that would come across as sportsmanship. I had one of our best teams in the league. I had a friend on that team that said, we draw up a whole scouting report around you and where you're going to be on the field, but you're the only player that we talk about in a positive way because you're always helping somebody up. You're always, you have a smile on your face when you're out there hitting people, and it doesn't hold you back from being an incredible competitor. I think it probably makes you that way. And so I think treating people well goes a long way, and that is part of the scouting report as well. Also, I got hands. I can catch them, and I'll hit
catch them.
I can catch them, and I'll take you down, but I'll help you
out. A kind soul.
Yeah.
After she hits the crap out of you.
Yeah.
And knocks you out. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. By the time this airs, I mean, even as we're recording it, there's not much season left, but I would imagine that before you turn around, there'll be the next one starting again. Absolutely. So how can people, third question, learn more, get involved, whatever it might be with the Kansas City Glory?
Absolutely. You mentioned our website earlier, kansascityglory.com. On there, there's actually a couple forms that say, hey, I'm interested in being a player, being a coach, just volunteering my time. You can fill that out and we'll keep it all together and get to you. We have tryouts generally the first or second weekend of October. It's National Tryout Day for the whole Women's National Football Conference. So that's a date set by the league. So the first or second Saturday of October generally. And we'll put information out on that says, hey, if you're interested in coming to play, you know, as you know, I came from track and field. We have people that come from everywhere. You see an athletic woman and go, you have any? I tried to recruit the woman at Enterprise today. Like she walked up and said, hi. And I said, would you like to play football? And then she said, you with the Glory? I know Coach Kiki. And I said, okay, she's tried. But yeah, it's open to anyone. We'll teach you. We do have a high bar for performance, but we'll get you there. And then follow us on social media. We are Kansas City Glory on everything. We have a good Instagram, and the TikToks are TikToking, whatever's happening there.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Dancing and trends and all that kind of stuff. Facebook as well. We're on all three of those. So those are the best opportunities to check out who we are, particularly in the off season. And then we'll kick off the 2027 season at the beginning of April 2027.
Okay. All right, last one, the walk-off. You get on stage or in front of anybody for that matter. I know the passion you have as I've gotten to know you just a little bit, and I know your passion for helping people. You get on stage. I know you're trying to make an impact on people's lives. When you speak, which is very much like performing, minus the physical part on the field, it really is. What do you want people to take away when they hear you?
Similar to kind of what I said earlier, of like, I want to bring my best self. I want to bring joy and positivity to the work I do. I hope they walk away with some joy and positivity and an understanding that like they can accomplish great things as well. It's not a limited commodity to invest in yourself and be great, whatever great means to you. And I hope they can walk away with a couple tools that can help them get there.
And Howard, you will wrap it up with this. How would you see the world right now? I mean, there's so much negativity. We could talk about all that, but do you have, we're reminded every day there's steps backwards. I mean, but when I talk to you, when I talk to women, not just women too. I mean, this could be, people of color. Oh, you're that too. But like when
also
I talk
queer,
to people
I just fall into all the categories.
See, we got three. Anything else? What am I missing?
I think that's probably good.
But I think that's my point, right? Those that have always been marginalized are still being marginalized. Yet I see opportunities for the next generation that didn't exist when you were coming up. Doesn't mean this has all been fixed. What are your thoughts?
That it absolutely hasn't. And I mean, you've alluded to it a number of times of the steps backwards, but I think when you talk about marginalized communities, the thing we know is that the resilience has always been there. We've always taken the punches and come back. That's why we're here. If we weren't resilient, we would not be here now. So I think surrounding yourself with a wonderful group of people, that's one of the, I didn't mention that in small ball, but that's one of my things too. Surrounding myself with great people that want to do good work, not just for themselves, but for others in our communities, and taking the time that we all need to decompress and recharge and be able to kind of step back outside the door, ready to go again, is really important. So yeah, we 2 steps back, 3, 4, 5 steps back. I'm not quite sure. Whatever it is, but that doesn't mean that the steps forward aren't coming. And you just gotta, get back off the ropes and start throwing those punches again.
I'm on board with all of it. You're inspiring, all the work that you're doing. We just checked all of those boxes, but also the wonderful person box. You're right in that one as well, which is important. And I know you and I are just getting to know each other, but I'm glad to call you a friend. I'm glad to have you on the podcast, and excited to continue to see everything that you're doing. So thanks for coming on. I know that this will air by the time this airs. We'll know how the Glory did this weekend. But since you and I are in real time at the moment, I'll wish you good luck this weekend, continued success with everything. Everybody, again, go to the website, check it out, kansascityglory.com. Find them on social media, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you get all your fun stuff. And
could I add one?
Yeah.
If you're looking for me specifically as a speaker or workshop facilitator, you can go to KrishnaLee.com or at Coach Krishna Lee on Instagram.
There you go, KrishnaLee.com. I don't know how I didn't go there, because everybody always does that for me. It just slipped my mind. I got very Kansas City Glory focused, but KrishnaLee.com, and you can learn more about Krishna, and I would just say go to all those spots so you can learn about all of it and check out the great work. Krishna, thanks so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Joel. This was a blast.
It's around the bases. Everybody knows Joe Goldberg.